And we are live, back after a 3-week hiatus.
3 weeks, 3 weeks of playing with the kids and the grandkids and going to Las Vegas. We are off our game, let me tell you.
Yes, we are.
We weren't making any specific mistakes yet, but man, it just seems unfamiliar doing all this.
It does. And well, shoot, right about when we would want to do roll call, I don't see Al anymore.
Did Al just leave?
Did he just leave? He picks the most opportune times.
Well, we're going to do roll call anyway. We've got Kevin and Bruce and Frank and Mike and Jill and Ed and John and Rose and Sandy and Steve and Michael. Hello, everybody. Anybody in the sidebar? Hey, where's Drunk McNulty? He stopped coming after a while.
Yeah, he's on a big bender.
I was just thinking about him today, looking at a picture. Oh, Al's back now. We just did roll call because you were gone, Al. That's funny.
Maybe he's out finding the GIF for roll call.
Maybe. It's been a while. Use your iPhone to set up this Apple Watch. What? My devices are just losing their mind today. Right now, my phone, I just put it on the charger and it says, use your phone to set up this Apple Watch. I wonder if it's talking to the spare that's here.
Could be.
Any update on Wheels? Wheels was chatting in the Slack just today. So, don't know anything beyond that, but he's conversing.
Well, do you have a show to do?
Oh, you enjoyed the Withings thing. Good. I should stop reading the chat room and get to work. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, at some point. I don't know. How long do you anticipate this one? Probably not super long since you have a lot of pre-recorded stuff.
Right. But let me go ahead and get started. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with Okay, start over. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, January 14th, 2024, and this is show number 975. Why does it say January 13th in the show notes? Fixing that. Alrighty. My view of CES. Oh, I did it wrong. First thing I do. All right. Copy. Back over here. Do a chapter mark. Even though Kevin didn't tell me to. Late. Fail. All right. No, I'm joking. All right. Oh, I'm going to even save.
Hello, Linz.
Lindsay's here.
Linz the daughter.
Hi, Lindsay the daughter. If Kyle, oh no, if
Kyle
Nolan, oh boy, I'm losing it. If Nolan and Forbes and Sienna are listening to, hi. I'm drinking water, just so you know. All righty, here we go. Well, Steve and I are back from a fun-filled week at CES in Las Vegas. I'm sure you've heard the huge announcements from the show, things like transparent television screens, but Steve and I will be bringing you the smaller and often much more practical and useful innovations we saw at CES. If you haven't followed our coverage before, let me tell you a little bit about how we experienced the show. CES usually starts midweek, but we get into town the weekend before because Come on. Well, Steve and I are back from a fun-filled week at CES in Las Vegas, the Consumer Electronics Show. I'm sure you've heard the huge announcements from the show, things like transparent television screens, but Steve and I will be bringing you the smaller and often much more practical and useful innovations we saw at CES. If you haven't followed our coverage before, let me tell you a little bit about how we experienced the show. CES usually starts midweek, but we get into town the weekend before because the press events start before the show ever starts. There are 3 press events we attend: CES Unveiled, PepCom, and Showstoppers. These press events aren't held in the giant convention center halls. Rather, they're held in little hotel, well, not really little, but big hotel ballrooms with a curated group of vendors. This gives the press an efficient way to go booth to booth and learn about the products and the event holders think might be of interest to us. Some of the press events are better than others, but each helped us find very interesting product. Why am I stumbling on my stupid words like products? Both. Some of the press events are better than others, but each helped us find interesting products. People often ask me after CES, what's the biggest wow you saw at CES? I can't really answer that question because it's not about the big wow for me. It's about interesting solutions to real challenges, whether it's an inventive charging station, a way to protect your back when lifting heavy objects, or a better way to navigate walking if you're blind. Since we were in Vegas, we did take in one show. It was called Postcards from Earth, and it was at the new Sphere Theater. The Sphere is crazy. The entire outside is a 366-foot tall spherical dome that's also a display on the outside. Throughout the day and night, it displays all kinds of imagery, which is really quite distracting when you're driving by it. I got a shot of it when it was a giant, furry, pink, playful-looking monster that I put in the show notes. The theater itself is incredible. Think IMAX, but on steroids. The entire inside of the Sphere is a giant screen, the sound system is phenomenal, and you also feel vibrations and even wind during the show. I know I'm not really doing it justice, and we decided to just enjoy the experience rather than to try to capture it. I put a link in the show notes to a video explaining all about the engineering behind the Sphere. It's called The Insane Engineering Behind MSG Sphere Las Vegas. I really recommend going and looking at that. That's what got us excited about going to see it. Now, from a social aspect, CES is a real joy. You've heard Sandy Foster on the podcast many times, and the live show audience knows her as my wing woman. What you may not know is that the reason my blog posts are mostly typo-free, thanks Sandy, as she's the one who proofreads every single one of them. I noticed something. Can you look in the show notes and see if it still says 100 foot?
I will check that.
Oh, God, that eyeball's creepy.
Yeah, isn't it?
I thought I refreshed.
I don't see any mention of feet.
Look for the number 100.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Commander.
It is 100 feet, you say. In
Okay,
the blog post.
Yeah, can you change that? It was 366 or something like that.
366?
That's the number I just said. It's something like that. It's close anyway. I just wanted to make sure the other typo was caught. So yay, Sandy. One of them. Sandy happens to live in the Las Vegas area, so every year that we attend CES, we manage to work out a way to have breakfast with her. After breakfast this year, a fun coincidence happened. Our daughter Lindsay and her husband Nolan just happened to be staying at the same hotel as us, so they came to breakfast just to meet Sandy, which was super fun. You know, they all know each other from the live chat room, so it was really fun for them to get to meet in real life. We ended up going back to Sandy's house to see her crazy cool sewing machine that she uses for her amazing quilts. And she even did some instruction for us on how she makes some of the quilts, which was really cool. We also got to play with her lovely dog, Shoo Shoo. I often talk about what I didn't realize I would gain in my life when I picked up a microphone nearly 19 years ago. And our close friendship with Sandy is a perfect example of the kind of things that have happened to us over these years. The other fun thing from a social aspect is that we get to meet up with other fellow Apple podcasters. This year we hung out with Dave Hamilton and Pete Harmon of the Mac Geek Gab, as well as Chuck Joyner and Norbert Frasa of Mac Voices. Norbert runs the cameras, while Chuck is the on-air talent. It was great fun to meet for breakfast each day, then go our separate ways during the day, and come back with tales of adventure for the evening sessions. We even one night got to have dinner with Victor Cajiao. If you've been an Apple podcast... If you've been an Apple podcast listener for a long time, you'll remember he used to host the Typical Mac User podcast. And it was so great to see him after so many years. We also got to hang out with Tom Merritt of the Daily Tech News Show. Tom interviewed me after the CES Unveiled event, which you'll hear about in this show, and that was really fun. Another night after a press event, Tom, Chuck, Norbert, and Steve and I hung out in a bar and spoke philosophically on subjects of great import. Another great personal and professional connection that we enjoy at CES is with Steve Ewell, Executive Director of the CTA Foundation. The CTA Foundation is affiliated with the Consumer Technology Association, who run CES, and the CTA Foundation grants strategically... That's a poorly written sentence. The CTA Foundation... The CTA Foundation is affiliated with the Consumer Technology Association, the folks who run CES. The CTA Foundation has grants that strategically improve the lives of seniors and people with disabilities. You may actually remember hearing Steve on Chit Chat Across the Pond back in 2017 when he told us all about the CTA Foundation. You can look that up on episode number 479, and of course there's a link in the show notes. This year, when we connected with Steve before the show, he invited us to go on a tour with a few other folks where he would highlight some of the more interesting tech in the disability space. The CTA Foundation held a contest, and the top 5 of the submissions were given a free booth at CES, and those are the companies we learned about on the tour. Steve and I circled back and did in-depth interviews with 2 of those companies, Glidance and VisionAid. I'll leave you with that teaser for a future episode when you'll get to hear those interviews. Now, Steve and I actually did go to the real show floor, and while it's pretty cool to see the crazy big booths with amazing new TV technology and crazy concept cars like the Honda Saloon and the Space Hub, I still like the smaller press events later. I scrolled and lost what I was going to say. I still like the smaller press events better. Speaking of Honda, I have to say I'm disappointed in their utter lack of progress in coming out with an electric vehicle. I bought my first Honda in 1978, and we stayed exclusively in the Honda Motor Company family of cars until we sold our last Acura to buy our Teslas. I felt like they showed off the Saloon, a really cool-looking, racy, futuristic car, and the Space Hub, a dorky-looking futuristic van, just as a way to say, hey, look over here, don't notice it's 2024 and we still don't have a shipping electric vehicle. They're still promising the Honda Prologue SUV, but it says early 2024 on their website, so it's still a dream. They even made a big deal at the show that they changed the H of the Honda logo. Wow, that's exciting. All right, enough ranting about Honda. Well, the convention was in the North, West, and Central halls of the Las Vegas Convention Center, as well as the Venetian Convention Center. Believe it or not, we went through all of those halls. One of the weird things about the booths at the convention halls is that nearly every booth was filled with people who were not authorized to be on camera with the media. It's kind of baffling, really. In an interview you'll hear in this week's show, you'll hear me talking about the cars from a Vietnamese car company called VinFast. I'll tell you about 2 of their shipping vehicles, then one coming early this year, and I'll finish with a concept truck from VinFast. But what you won't hear is anyone from VinFast talking. They agreed to let me talk to them and get a bunch of details like range and price and probable delivery times, and then I had to remember those stats and regurgitate them all alone on the mic. You know I script my show, and there's a reason for that. It's because I find it difficult to keep a lot of details like that in my head. At one point, Steve had recorded me talking about one of the cars, and the woman feeding me the info told me to do it again because I'd made too many mistakes. Can you imagine the gall? Well, I did do it again because it was a bit clumsy, but afterward, she tried to get me to do it a third time. She had some suggestions on ways to make it sound better from a marketing perspective. I looked at her and I said, "Oh, sweetie, I don't work for you, and I'm not in marketing." She backed off after that. Now, while it took us nearly an hour to find the 2 folks who were allowed to at least feed me information and do the video and audio for the show, what happened after that I was done recording was even more interesting. I was approached by a gentleman from Vingroup, the parent company of VinFast. He asked me if it would be okay if he could interview me. I couldn't think why he'd want to do that, but I agreed. It turned out he wanted to get my viewpoint on how a Vietnamese company could better penetrate the U.S. market. He asked questions about what the most important things were to U.S. customers, and he questioned me on the priority of those different features of the car. He also asked about pricing, and I explained that they'll have an uphill battle because their cars won't be eligible for any of the federal tax credit incentives that U.S. car manufacturers enjoy. Right now, you could get up to $7,500 off an electric vehicle if enough of the car's parts its materials and battery are from the U.S. If not enough of that is from the U.S., and there's math about how to know what enough is, the credit drops to $37.50 or maybe even zero. Like I said, the math is really pretty hard to follow. For example, the cars made by Tesla have enough different components and material technology that only the performance level Model Y and Model 3 are eligible for the $7,500 credit, and the two lower models only get the $37.50 credit. Like I said, it's pretty weird stuff. In any case, it was pretty fun to have my brain picked by the gentleman from the Vin Group, and I told him I'd connect him with Bodie Grimm of the Kilowatt Podcast because he'd probably have a lot more insight than I do on the subject. Overall, the show was exciting, fun, and exhausting. We even got to be driven in the Tesla, I don't know what, it's the Boring Company. They have this hole that they've dug between the different convention center halls, and we got to just jump in a Tesla and be transported from one of these halls to the other. They're huge, so being driven was pretty cool. We learned a lot, we made some good contacts, and we had a great deal of fun with our friends. Most importantly, we got 34 interviews, and we'll be playing these over the coming months, and we think that's going to bring you a lot of cool things to learn about. The Loop. Thank you, Steve. What did I call it?
You called it the Tesla Underground.
Hyperloop. I started calling it the Hyperloop. All right. Let's see. Did I miss anything in the chat room? Okay, why aren't you copying? Copy. Paste. All right, so we're going to do... Oh, I don't have the audio from Tom, Steve. Where's... Oh, no, I do have it. Never mind. No, there. This one, M4A. Let's see how this sounds. Cool things to learn about.
CES Unveiled is like a mini CES, right? It's like where they take a bunch of the vendors from the big show floor that no one could possibly walk in a day, and they give us a chance to maybe possibly walk them. You've just been walking. How tired are you?
Well, I'm tired already because I'm easily tired. It's odd how many of the booths here have people with absolutely nothing explaining what they're standing there about to tell you about.
Right, because they want to tell you.
Well, but it's like they didn't even bring a sign with the name of their... Maybe.
Remember when I said that some of these press events are better than others? Unveiled was not my favorite one. Like I said there, it's weird that there'll be people standing with a sign in the name of a company, and they're just standing there. You have no reason to go up to them.
No description of their product, nothing to give you a hint as to whether you want to actually go up to them and ask for an interview or see if you even want to interview them.
Yeah.
The other press events do have that kind of info.
Oh, Lindsay, really? Portland, I didn't know that. Oh, geez. We should check on Gene McDonald and Kelly Guimont.
Right.
Yikes. All right. I'm going to talk for a second, and then I'm going to do the chapter mark. 1 second here. Well, that was a lot of fun, but let's start with our first review from CES. Now, while I am the on-air talent for all of the reviews that you're going to hear, Steve is the one working his little fingers to the bone, creating all of the video versions of these reviews, links in the show notes, and all of the audio content that you're going to hear in the podcast. I definitely couldn't do any of this without him. Yay, Steve. All right. I saw a meteorologist talking about the weather today, and he said that there's one state that doesn't have any problems with the with weather right now, no weather advisories, and it's Arizona, which I thought was odd. Let me see. That's not what I want that to say. I I don't understand it. I'm getting this weird. I have a macro that copies the title and the blog post name. The title and the URL, and it's made to strip off the dash Podfeed podcast, but it's starting to copy it again. Like the whole purpose of it is to take it off. Ed, it's dipping below 50.
Careful, Ed.
See, that's how you get earthquakes, you know. All right, let's do VinFast. See, I think I'll do these here. All right. Any of this without him.
I'm in the VinFast booth, which is a Vietnamese company, and I'm representing the Kilowatt podcast, but I also do the NosillaCast podcast over at podfeet.com. This is the VF8, which is a full-size SUV. It's a 5-seater, and it's got a range of 250 to 280 miles. It's available in the U.S. today, came out in March of 2023.
So I'm talking about shipping vehicles, and they still wouldn't talk to me. All right. Okay, I'm about 20 minutes in. I'm going to do a little spam. Actually, what order? Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's do support the show. Copy link. All right. Our hero of the week is the lovely Linda Goucher. Not only has she been a patron of the Podfeed podcast for 6.5 years, but she recently increased her pledge per show. Now, you may have heard Linda on Bart Bouchat's Let's Talk Apple show when he goes over quarterly numbers for Apple. She's insightful on that topic, and I have a lot of admiration for her knowledge. As I told her in my email, thank you, that I wrote, I'm flattered that she listens to the show at all and that she contributes financially. If you'd like to be lovely like Linda, please go to podfeed.com/Patreon and pledge your support. Okay, I'm already at 20 minutes. I'm going to check something here.
Wait, you're already...
And I've got 3 things to do, so let's see.
Well, mine are pretty short, right?
Yeah,
Mine are...
3. So I'm doing the math.
Okay.
6, 7, 13. Yeah, no, I'll keep going.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to do an actual one of my own.
Oh, no. Is that the mirror iPhone?
Yeah, the bezel. There it is. Whoops. I always do that. And put in a chapter mark. Good news, Kurt. Glad to hear you're okay so far. Do you guys have generators and stuff like that up there? Let's see. I'm going to start here. Let's take a little bit of a break from the CES interviews, and I'm going to give you an actual review of my own. In my work creating screencasts for Screencasts Online, if I'm demonstrating an app on iOS or iPadOS, I have to have a way to record the screen of the iPhone or iPad. We use ScreenFlow to record the Mac screen, and in more recent versions, it's been possible to record the iOS device as well. However, we ran into quality problems with this method. My fellow screencasters and I started to use QuickTime instead to record the iOS screen, but that comes with its own host of problems. In QuickTime, if the moon is full and Jupiter's aligned with Mars, one of the options for what to record with new movie recording will be the iPhone itself. It worked maybe 80% of the time, but then other times the iPhone simply wouldn't show up in the list at all. I tested it in preparation for this article, and now it seems to only want to record what the iPhone's camera can see, not the iPhone screen itself. Continuity camera is an awesome feature in macOS, but unless there's a workaround of which I'm not aware, I don't think we can record the screen with QuickTime any longer. More recently, we started to use the iPhone's built-in screen recording functionality. This works reliably, but it's still not ideal. The recordings get stored in your Photos library, and then they have to be moved to the Mac and deleted from Photos. All of these solutions come with one more problem. the recordings are of just the screen. They don't have a bezel on them, so they don't convey very well that the recording is an iPhone or an iPad. It's just a simple rectangle. The editors at Screencasts Online have to painstakingly add a static layer of a bezel and layer the video of the phone over this. This introduces even more problems because the recording of the screen, like I said, is a rectangle, while the visible area on the bezel has rounded corners. It's basically a hot mess. Can you add a period after hot mess for me, please? This introduces even more.
I haven't been following, so I don't know where you are.
Command F, hot mess. Please?
And you want a what? A period after that?
Yeah, it just says it's a hot mess without a period. This introduces even more problems because the recording of the screen is a rectangle while the visible area on the bezel has rounded corners. It's a hot mess. Well, this is the problem to be solved for me, but the solution I've come up with might be of value to you even if you never need to do screen recordings of iOS devices. I know a lot of NosillaCastaways do presentations to their Apple user groups demonstrating how to do things in iOS. Maybe you have friends or family that you help remotely and you'd like to be able to show them how to do things on their devices. All of these situations are crying out for an easier and prettier way to share iPhone and iPad screens onto a Mac. If you use Zoom to share your screen to others, you can share your iPhone screen too, but like all of these other solutions I've described, that's fiddly too. 3 months ago, a terrific new app hit the market called Bezel from getbezel.app. It's a Dutch company called Nonstrict, and it might be the answer to all of these problems, and it might solve problems I haven't even described yet. Bezel is a one-time cost of $29 US for one Mac license. I wish I could use it on more than one Mac at a time, but you can at least deactivate on one and activate on another if you need to move it back and forth. Now, there's a little bit of a catch to the one-time cost with Bezel. While it's true you can use it forever for $29, you're only guaranteed updates for 1 year. It'll be interesting to see what happens in a year since it's such a new product. I think possibly the developers are just kind of hedging their bets right now. We'll see. Bezel has a free trial, which is fully functional, but puts a watermark over the area where the dynamic island or notch would be on your iPhone, and it says getbezel.app. They also have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's pretty much worth trying out. Let's walk through the initial setup first, which you have to only do once. When you launch Bezel for the first time, you'll see a screen that invites you to get started doing plug-and-play iPhone mirroring. Now, the one mistake I made when I did this was I didn't check for accessibility as I ran through this process, and you only go through this process once, so I wasn't able to find out whether this app was accessible. All right, when you get this plug-and-play mirroring thing up, you tap the Get Started button, and you'll see a screen that says Connect and Unlock. It shows a graphic of a cable connecting to an iPhone if it's not obvious enough, and the smaller text tells you to connect an iPhone or iPad using a cable, and then it tells you to make sure you unlock the device. As soon as you connect the iPhone or iPad to your Mac, you'll get a request to trust this computer on the iOS device's screen. The instructions tell you to select Trust and enter your passcode or password on your iOS device. The one odd step is next. You're told to unplug the cable and then plug it right back in for Bezel to get started mirroring your screen. It's weird, but it does work. And finally, you should see a pop-up on macOS telling you that Bezel would like to have camera permission so that it can capture the screen of the iOS device. This is a very reasonable request, and I said yes. Now, Bezel will show you your iPhone or iPad on your Mac screen, complete with the exact bezel of the physical device you plugged in. The Bezel developers must be able to sense from the device exactly which model you have, so it even knows whether you've got blue or black or white or natural titanium on your iPhone 15 Pro, for example. According to the webpage, they have the bezels for every single iPhone, iPad, and even iPod Touch that has ever been made. Though I do enjoy being thorough, I did not test this claim. I set my iPhone 15 Pro up with Bezel, and now as soon as I plug it in, Bezel automatically starts sharing the screen onto my Mac. I set up a second phone, an iPhone 12 Pro with Bezel, and I also forgot to test for accessibility with that one, and it was a little bit harder to connect than the iPhone 15 Pro. I'm not sure if it was because I had to go USB-C to Lightning instead of straight USB-C, or whether the older hardware doesn't respond the same, but it was a little bit fiddly. would plug it in and follow the steps to trust the computer and put in my passcode, but Bezel wouldn't come back with the screen telling me to unplug it and plug it back in. After a restart of the phone and Bezel, I finally got it to work, but I was just kind of surprised that that one was fiddly. I also set up my 12.9-inch iPad Pro via USB-C to USB-C and forgot to test for accessibility, and it went through the setup process without any issues at all. Now, Bezel sets itself to launch and log in automatically. I know macOS sends us a lot of notifications these days, but I appreciate that it told me that Bezel had done this. If you're only an occasional user of Bezel, you can go into System Setting, Login Items, and remove Bezel from the Open at Login list if you don't need it. If you find that you're using Bezel a lot, though, having it already running and available in a menu bar item is pretty handy. Oh, I forgot you had the video. We should put that link in the... I might need to update my CES thing because I ad-libbed that, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. Yeah, we could do that. And also, did you mention transparent TVs?
I did.
So we could put that video in too.
Oh, okay. I said at the top that you may have heard about the transparent TVs, but we did more fun stuff. But yeah, you could throw that in. You can edit my report any way you like.
I forget, does WordPress take videos direct? Or do I need to link?
We'll have to talk about it.
All right.
Make a note to ask me. All right. The Bezel interface is pretty simple, but it does have a few cool tricks up its sleeve. The Bezel interface is pretty simple, but it does have a few cool tricks up its sleeves. By default, you'll see a floating toolbar above the bezeled iPhone screen. In the top center, it'll show you the name you've given your phone, and below that it will tell you the model number and the color of the phone. In my case, it says blue titanium. To the right of that is a little icon of a phone with a drop-down. In this drop-down, you'll see an option to match the hardware, or you can choose from all of the finishes for the bezels that are available for your device. Since mine is an iPhone 15 Pro, I can change it to black, white, or natural titanium as options. Can you look for drop-down, space, capital I, lowercase n? There should be a period between those two. Did that make sense?
Say that again.
Drop-down, space, in. Do Command F on that, and you can see in is capitalized, but there's no period after drop-down. Okay.
So you just need the period.
Yeah. Thank you. My iPhone 12 Pro is silver, but I can change the representation in bezel to graphite, gold, or blue. This isn't a killer feature, but it's fun to play with, and it might be helpful to change the color depending on the color or pattern of your wallpaper so that the iPhone bezel clearly stands out. The next option in the toolbar really surprised me. It's a speaker icon that you can mute. Finding this icon is what made me realize that Bezel will pass through audio from your device to your Mac speakers. Now, how cool is that? I played an episode of the Daily Tech News Show from Downcast on my iPad with it hooked up via Bezel to my Mac, and Tom Merritt's dulcet tones came booming out of my computer speakers hooked up to my Mac. Now, the final icon in the toolbar is a pin. I really like apps that allow me to pin a window to the screen, which not only locks it in place, but also makes the window stay on top so no other windows can obscure it. If you move the bezel window to the top of your screen, the toolbar automatically jumps to the bottom of the bezel window, so there's room for it. I thought that was pretty slick. The toolbar doesn't show when you switch to another application, and you can also hide it entirely using the bezel menu, View, Hide Toolbar, or by using the keystroke Option Command T. Now, let's say you're teaching a class on how to use an iOS app, and the interface is just enough different on an iPad versus an iPhone. With Bezel, you can actually connect and display two devices at the same time on your Mac. Right above that picture, Steve, iPad versus an iPhone, and should not be capitalized.
Where are you?
Right above
iPad
the image
versus
you just...
iPad versus an iPhone, and should not be capitalized.
Right.
All right.
Thank you. I don't know what the limit is on how many different devices you can display at the same time because I ran out of USB-C ports on my MacBook Pro, but I was able to view my iPad Pro and the 2 iPhones all at the same time. It's absolutely crazy. And for reasons I can't explain, under the File menu, you can duplicate a device. I duplicated the iPhone 5 times, and again, I don't know the limit, as I said, or why on earth you'd want to do this, but you can with Bezel. And one thing I want to address here is that there are limitations on what you can mirror from iOS to your Mac. While video podcasts mirrored beautifully from Downcast, don't think you can mirror any copy protected content. This isn't a limitation of Bezel, it's a limit imposed by those who don't want us to be able to enjoy our content the way we want to. Examples of things you can't mirror include TV apps like Hulu, Netflix, Paramount Plus, and Apple TV Plus, and you can't even mirror Fitness Plus to your Mac. I launched the Wallet app to my Apple Card on my iPhone while mirroring via Bezel, just out of curiosity, and while it showed my transaction history, when I tapped the little icon to show me my card number, it was simply blank in the mirrored version. This is obviously a good thing. I was very surprised that when I opened 1Password while mirrored, it did display my passwords when I chose to reveal them. I kind of assumed it wouldn't, but it did. In any case, whatever you see or don't see mirrored via Bezel, the lack of content won't be because of anything Bezel caused. Now, Bezel has just a few settings of interest. When you're not focused on a Bezel mirrored device window, the toolbar automatically disappears, like I said before. But you can actually disable that auto hide feature in settings. We talked earlier about how just connecting a device caused the mirrored window to pop up. In device settings, you can set a default for what happens when a device connects, and you can set the behavior by device as well. So let's say you charge your phone from your Mac all the time, you might want to set the behavior on connect to be do nothing. But your iPad is only connected when you want to mirror, so you could set it up to connect the connect behavior to always open the window when the iPad was connected. Really nice flexibility there. With Bezel, you can resize the device's window with the normal corner size controls. But using the window menu, you'll find 4 interesting options. You can set it to the physical size of the device, or change it to point accurate or pixel accurate, and finally there's an option to fit screen. I expected that last option to make the iPhone hit the top and bottom of my display, but it doesn't do that. It does something better. It sizes the mirrored iPhone window to leave a comfortable area above and below the phone, and it centers it vertically. I would describe it as just right. On their front page, the developers have a tagline that says, "Bezel is the easiest way to view, present, and record an iPhone." The press kit even mentions recording several times. The only problem is, Bezel does not provide a way to record the iPhone. I watched a walkthrough video they produced, and someone asked in the comments about recording. The developer answered, quote, "Recording your iPhone is currently in beta and is under active development. No exact timeline yet, but we hope to release this soon." The bottom line is I'm thrilled to have a great way to represent my iOS device on my Mac screen while helping others to learn, and it'll be even more useful when we can record natively using Bezel instead of needing to use a third-party app like ScreenFlow. Check out Bezel at getbezel.app. And Steve, the URL is borked. There should be a square bracket to the left of getbezel.app. The tunnel only leaks a little. Did you hear me, Steve?
Sorry, I was doing something else. Where are you again?
Very last line in the article. It says, check out Bezel at getbezel.app. There should be a square bracket on the left side of getbezel. So it should be 2 square brackets and then 2 roundy brackets, but the leading square bracket is missing.
Okay.
You got it? Okie dokie. Thank you. All right.
So it didn't pick up the formatting?
Right, because I did it wrong. .app. All right, let's do a chapter mark. Going to be a lot of chapter marks tonight. So Bart is a big fan of the Withings devices, and they have come out with a really cool thing called BMO. his husband has some lung issues, and this thing not only does an EKG or ECG, and does temperature. I forget what the third thing is, but the fourth thing is you can hold it up to your side, and it measures your lungs. It records a sonogram or an echocardiogram. Is that what it's called? No, whatever it's called. Measures it records the audio so you can send it to your doctor. All right, let's just kick right in. I don't think I need to tell everybody. I'm going to do another review at getbezel.app.
At home, we have a Withings scale that continuously tells me I'm too fat and my body mass percentage. No, I'm kidding. And but we also have a Withings blood pressure cuff. But I'm here with Paul Buckley, who's going to show us yet another Withings device that we simply must get. Why don't you tell us about it,
Well,
Paul?
I think you're being too hard on yourself with the Withings products. I think you're looking great. So every year we introduce a new product at Withings.
That poor guy had to say that, right? All right.
He's no dummy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, why does it say Aspex?
It says Podfeed Podcast.
Yeah, I'm fixing it. Don't fix it because I've got this one. Thanks, though. Is that right? Okay, there we go. You know, I didn't explain how I was doing the stuff for Bodhi. Do you think I should say anything to lead up to that? They'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, I think they will. Your chapter marks are purple now instead of yellow?
They changed the whole color scheme.
Okay.
Do you want me to fix it? I'll show you what I want it to look like. You won't let me. I want it to look like this. You hate that, though, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys hate that? It looks so clean, though.
Nope.
You don't like it? Why do I have to make it the color you like? Maybe we should take a vote.
Well, I'm just telling you what looks better in the the display.
Let me see. What's the definition of better? Look how
it blends
out.
Yeah, but it's stark. It just doesn't look right.
Oh, Jill thinks it's fun. Sandy said bright, but you didn't say whether you like it or not. Sandy's going to weigh in. I'll do whatever Sandy tells me to do. No, it's easier to live with Steve if I just do it. Oh, females versus male. Yeah, men tend to like dark mode better. That's true. Fine. How about if I do it halfway through, I go dark mode? That'll teach you to complain about the purple chapter marks.
Do you want that to be brighter than your video, your live video? Because it pops out and it swamps out live video. It's brighter. It says, "Look at me, look at me," and I don't know if that's what you want, the message you want.
All right, Jill likes dark mode, and Bruce likes light mode. So, all right, fine. Okay, let's see how this sounds if I just switch from one to the other.
You got it. Thank you.
I'm here again on behalf of the Kilowatt Podcast as well as the NosillaCast podcast. We are in the Aspex.
All these reviews are going to play in the Kilowatt Podcast too. Oh, look at that, 40 minutes, sweet. All right, it's quarter till. We're going to end early. Maybe we could play with Grumpy's. We'd have a collective play date with Grumpy's plugin. All right,
I'm sure everyone would love that.
Would be fun. The smart weighing scale, yeah, that's the same with things. That's why I was talking about how every day I get on it and it tells me you're too fat or your body fat percentage is too high. Kidding, of course, it doesn't say that. On your birthday, it won't tell you how much you weigh. It says happy birthday instead, which I think is pretty sweet.
And gives a little fireworks.
Little fireworks come up. All right. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com anytime you like? If you have a question or suggestion, just send it on over. You can follow me on Mastodon like a lot of people have been doing lately, which is super fun. On Mastodon, I'm at Podfeet at chaos.social. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. If you want to join the fun of the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast castaways. You can support the show like Linda Gaucher did at podfeet.com. Why did I stop? I just stopped talking. I was fine. I didn't say anything wrong. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon, like Linda Gaucher, or you can do a one-time donation at podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCast castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Okay. What? You reading Kevin?
Yeah.
My scale curses at me. Ah! All right, let's see how that sounds. Fantastic Nosilla Castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
I don't know. I would have that come. Yeah.
Please subscribe. Still too late?
Yep.
A little more? I wish it would duck automatically. Subscribe. I don't know why it can't do that. Pilot Pete! Pilot Pete, how are you?
How long has Pete been here?
I think he just snuck in.
Hello,
I said
Pete.
nice things about you.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes? All right. Yeah, at the beginning I said nice. Yeah, I said nice things. Okay, we need a chapter mark count. Steve?
Oh, boy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Don't count out
I have
loud.
7. Why
Don't
not?
count, because I can't count if you do that. So we'll go in series and not in parallel. Now I will count.
A forensics class. Cool. That's cool.
I got 7.
7. I got 7 also.
Good.
All right.
Also, if you want an independent check, I shouldn't hear your number beforehand. All the reasons why you shouldn't count out loud.
All right. I'm going to switch the screen I'm going to share. And I'm going to go to, but I haven't done it just yet. I'm going to make it the same size as the other one. And I'm going to change it to be, this is going to be logging into my Synology, but I got to remember, what's the port number for Homebridge? Does anybody remember? Oh yeah, his Visage was in there. What's the, I'm going to have to bring up 1Password if nobody remembers the Homebridge. There it is. Let's do this. 8581, there it is. Well, that's another way to do it. I'll do it this way. All right, I'm going to log in before you guys see all of this. Homebridge. There we go. All right. So now, and there it is again. All right. Is Grumpy still here? Yeah, Grumpy's still here. Okay, so I'm going to switch. So the subject of this conversation is something we were talking about earlier when we got on. And it's that Grumpy has written a plugin for Homebridge that will allow you to follow the processes that Dave Hamilton talks about, where you can ping your home server. I wonder if this is going to show any stuff like MAC addresses. Is this dangerous of me to do, Grumpy? Let's go look at the plugins. So there's Homebridge Net Nanny. I think that's it. See, GrumpTech. So if I go into see, you can see it's installed. 3 ping strategy. That's what it's called, that Dave Hamilton talks about. So I got a ping period, a ping interval, ping count, packet size, enable logging, reporting period, maximum history size, retention. I got all this stuff I can set. I don't know what it's for. I'm going to use apple.com to ping. Well, I can turn off your lights from here. Probably. Packet loss limit, expected latency, jitter, peak, all this stuff. And that's all I know. Just go with the defaults. So that's probably the defaults. So now this is supposed to create some sensors in HomeKit. Waiting for the video to catch up. Okay. So I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to show HomeKit. Is that going to show anything weird? It's got cameras. Yeah, I probably don't want to go into that. But is there anything I'm missing that I was supposed to be doing in here? Did you add the bridge to your home? Sure. Wasn't it one of the steps in setting it up? I do remember that. It's got a red dot next to it. Maybe I didn't turn it on. I could restart it's a child bridge, right? Not on the config page. So I'm at the main plugin page, and there's a red dot that says I could restart. Bridge settings. Yes, I did turn on the bridge settings, so I've got that showing. So this is supposed to help us ping our network. Child bridge is best. Okay, so the child bridge is on. That was already on. But I'll restart it because it has a red dot. Maybe that's the signal that something's wrong, is it has a red dot. We're trying to figure out why I can't see this plugin. There is no QR code. Oh, there might have been at one time. Oh, it's still a red dot. Interesting. Yeah, usually you see a QR code. I've seen QR codes in the other ones. I don't remember. Okay, on the child bridge setup page. Okay, so bridge settings probably. I could turn it off and turn it on again. Might give me another one. Restart home bridge. But I saw a QR code there somewhere before. All right, well, this might be boring, everybody. If we can't figure this out quickly, I was thinking it would be more interesting than this, but it's not very interesting. Hi, Steve.
Plus, I am worried you're going to show something you shouldn't. If you haven't already.
Ed says, Home Assistant's looking really good about now. Oh, you and your Home Assistant madness. Return to the screen after HomeBridge is restarted to view the pairing QR code. Well, I could restart it. See it again. Bridge paired. But you know what? I'm going to stop sharing my screen because it's going to show my HomeBridge
QR code.
My QR code, which actually it did at the beginning. All right, so now if I go into plugins, so it's up and running. You can't see it now, but it's up and running. I'm going to go to plugins. So it says temperature set, and let's see, does it show anything? Network performance monitor, checking for one clean fan. Oh, it's doing all kinds of garbage here. Okay, there we go. Child bridge process ended. Code 1, signal 1, null for HomeBridge GumpTech Nanny. I'm going to put a screenshot of that part in the chat room. Yeah, it's not happy. I think something's wrong. What version of the plugin are you on? How would I know that? The 1.6.0 is the version. 1.6.0. Yeah, so it's still a red dot, and it says it's not working. So I think maybe Grumpy and I need to do more diagnostics on this, and I should probably let class go. What do you think, Steve?
Yep. I think you should.
All right. Well, if you think of anything, Mike, let me know, and I will. This is definitely a date. Okay, good. Ed's going to go hack my house. Good. All right.
We have an interloper.
We do?
Yeah.
Who? Oh.
Gracie.
A cat. Well, now we know it's really
time.
near the end of the show.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, I moved it to the wrong place. Okay. I've got to go figure out how to finish the show, so we should probably sign off. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Rose. Glad to have you back. It's way more fun with y'all here.
Good night, Gracie.